remember the way you looked at me that evening by the door, like you wanted to say something you never said before. There was rain against the window and the room was turning cold, but the warmth inside your eyes was the only thing I knew. You were standing there so quietly with your fingers on your coat, and I knew that you were leaving even though you never spoke. I wanted to reach for you, but I couldn't make a sound. So I watched you take a breath and slowly turn around. Maybe love was in the moment, maybe we were just too late. Maybe all the things we wanted were standing right there in our way. It was the way you looked at me, like you wanted me to stay, like you needed me to hold you, but you couldn't ask me to. It was the way you looked at me before you turned away, like 1,000 words were hiding in the tears you couldn't show. It was the way you looked at me that I still remember now. You were standing right beside me, but I couldn't reach you somehow. It was the way you looked at me, like you loved me one last time before you walked into the darkness and left your heart behind. I remember how you told me that you never wanted pain. You said every time you loved someone, you ended up the same. So I promised I would never give you reasons to regret, but I guess the things we promise aren't the things we can't protect. You would hold me in the morning, then disappear by night, like you couldn't make your heart decide if this was wrong or right. And I spent so many evenings trying to understand why the person who was closest was the one I couldn't hold. Maybe love was in the moment, maybe we were just too late. Maybe all the things we wanted were standing right there in our way. It was the way you looked at me, like you wanted me to stay, like you needed me to hold you, but you couldn't ask me to. It was the way you looked at me before you turned away, like 1,000 words were hiding in the tears you couldn't show. It was the way you looked at me that I still remember now. You were standing right beside me, but I couldn't reach you somehow. It was the way you looked at me, like you loved me one last time before you walked into the darkness and left your heart behind. I'd ask where you'd been. I'd tell you the truth, I was scared too. I was afraid of losing someone like you. Maybe if we'd been honest, maybe if we'd let it show, maybe all the love between us wouldn't have had to go. But you kept your heart protected, and I kept mine locked away. Two people holding on to love while letting love escape. It was the way you looked at me, like you wanted me to stay, like you needed me to hold you, but you couldn't ask me to. It was the way you looked at me before you turned away, like 1,000 words were hiding in the tears you couldn't show. It was the way you looked at me that I still remember now. You were standing right beside me, but I couldn't reach you somehow. It was the way you looked at me, like you loved me one last time before you walked into the darkness. You were sitting on the sofa with your hands around your glass, looking like you knew the moment wasn't meant to last. I could hear the clock behind us moving slowly through the room, and the space between our bodies felt like something coming soon. You were looking at my lips, and then you looked away, like there was something you wanted, but you didn't know how to say. I could feel your hesitation, like a shadow on your skin. You were standing at the doorway of a love you wouldn't let in. If you had stayed a little longer, if you trusted what you felt, maybe we could have found forever in the moment that we held. Before you let me go, I saw the love inside your eyes. You were trying to hide it, but I knew you couldn't lie. Before you walked away, I felt your fingers touching mine, like you wanted to stay forever, but you left me one more time. Before you let me go, there was something we both knew. You were scared of falling deeper, so you chose to make it through. Now I'm left here wondering if you ever think of me. Before you let me go, was I almost what you need? You were talking about tomorrow, like I wouldn't be around, but the sadness in your voice was the only truth I found. You said maybe we were different, maybe timing wasn't right, but your eyes kept telling stories that you couldn't say that night. I remember how you held me for a second in the rain, like you wanted to remember how it felt to feel this way. Then you slowly pulled away, and you whispered my name, like you knew that walking from me would never feel the same. If you had stayed a little longer, if you trusted what you felt, maybe we could have found forever in the moment that we held. Before you let me go, I saw the love inside your eyes. You were trying to hide it, but I knew you couldn't lie. Before you walked away, I felt your fingers touching mine, like you wanted to stay forever, but you left me one more time. Before you let me go, there was something we both knew. You were scared of falling deeper, so you chose to make it through. Now I'm left here wondering if you ever think of me. Before you let me go, was I almost what you need? Just a moment you were never meant to keep. Maybe I was just the secret that you carried in your sleeve. Maybe somewhere in another life you would have chosen me. Maybe you would have stayed that night and we would have been free. But I still remember the way you looked at me, like you wanted to say, don't let me leave. Before you let me go, I saw the love inside your eyes. You were trying to hide it, but I knew you couldn't lie. Before you walked away, I felt your fingers touching mine, like you wanted to stay forever, but you left me one more time. Before you let me go, there was something we both knew. You were scared of falling deeper, so you chose to make it through. Now I'm left here wondering if you ever think of me. Before you let me go, was I almost what you need? Before you let me go, did you ever want to stay? Did you ever see a future before you turned away? Before you let me go, was there love you couldn't show? Left the light on in the hallway when you walked out of the door, like a part of you was hoping you'd be coming back once more. I was standing in the silence with your perfume in the air, and I wondered if you knew how much of you was still there. You had folded up your sweater, left it lying on the chair, like you never really wanted to admit that you weren't there. And the coffee in the kitchen was still warm beside the sink. I was holding on to memories you were trying not to think. You turned around. You could have called my name, but you kept walking forward like love was something you couldn't face. You left the light on, but you never came back home. You left me with the feeling that I wasn't meant to be alone. You left the light on like a promise in the dark, and I'm still trying to understand how you could leave my heart. You left the light on when you said you had to go. Maybe you wanted me to follow. Maybe you wanted me to know that sometimes love can disappear without a final word. You left the light on, but you never came back home. I remember all the mornings when you woke me with a smile. You would lay there next to me and make the world feel worthwhile. You said nothing lasts forever, but you held me like it would, and I believed every promise, even when I knew I shouldn't. Then one night you became distant, like the warmth that left your eyes. You were sitting right beside me, but I felt you saying goodbye. I reached for your hand slowly, but you pulled it out of mine, and I knew that something changed, and though you never drew the line. You could have turned around, you could have called my name, but you kept walking forward like love was something you couldn't face. You left the light on, but you never came back home. You left me with the feeling that I wasn't meant to be alone. You left the light on like a promise in the dark, and I'm still trying to understand how you could leave my heart. You left the light on when you said you had to go. Maybe you wanted me to follow. Maybe you wanted me to know that sometimes love can disappear without a final word. You left the light on, but you never came back home. Maybe love became a burden when I only needed your touch. Maybe you still see that hallway when you're lying there alone. Maybe somewhere in your heart you still remember coming home. And if you ever miss me, if you ever wonder why, just remember that the light was still on the night you said goodbye. I was waiting in the doorway, hoping you would change your mind. But some people leave the moment they realize love takes time. You left the light on, but you never came back home. You left me go. Maybe you wanted me to follow. Maybe you wanted me to know that sometimes love can disappear without a final word. You left the light on, but you never came back home. You left the light on, and I still see it every night. You were standing in my doorway on a cold December night, with the rain upon your shoulders and your eyes beneath the light. You said you didn't mean to come, but somehow you were here, and I could hear the words you swallowed in the silence of the room. You took off your coat slowly, and you placed it on the chair, like you knew that you were welcome, like you knew that I still cared. But then you looked across the room, and I saw it in your eyes. You had come here for a reason, but you couldn't tell me why. Maybe you were tired of running. Maybe you were tired of being alone. Maybe somewhere in your heart you were looking for a place called home. You were almost home when you stood outside my door. You were almost mine, like you'd never been before. You were almost ready to leave your past behind, but you turned away from me at the very last goodbye. You were almost home, I could feel it in your hands. You were almost telling me that you finally understand. You were almost everything I had waited for so long, but you were afraid of staying, so you chose to carry on. We sat there in the darkness, talking softly through the night. You told me about the years you spent trying to survive. I told you that you didn't have to carry it alone. You looked at me and smiled like you'd finally found your home. For a moment you were different. There was peace inside your eyes. You leaned closer to my shoulder, and I thought we'd found the time. But the morning came too quickly, and your walls came back again. You were reaching for the doorway before I could say stay. Maybe you were tired of running. Maybe you were tired of being alone. Maybe somewhere in your heart you were looking for a place called home. You were almost home when you stood outside my door. You were almost mine, like you'd never been before. You were almost ready to leave your past behind, but you turned away from me at the very last goodbye. You were almost home, I could feel it in your hands. You were almost telling me that you finally understand. You were almost everything I had waited for so long. had stayed until the morning, would you still be here today? If I had held you just a little, would you still have walked away? If I had told you I was frightened, would you finally understand that I never needed saving, I just needed you to stay? You didn't have to be perfect, you didn't have to be strong. You just had to trust the feeling that had been there all along. But you picked up your old defenses like a coat you always wore, and you walked back into the darkness that you came here to escape. You were almost home when you stood outside my door. You were almost mine like you'd never been before. You were almost ready to leave your past behind, but you turned away from me at the very last goodbye. You were almost home, I could feel it in your hands. You were almost telling me that you finally understand. You were almost everything I had waited for so long, but you were afraid of staying, so you chose to carry on. You were almost home. You were standing by the front door with your keys between your hands, and I knew by the way you looked at me, you didn't understand how a love could feel so heavy when we never made it real. How two people could be closer than they ever dared to feel. You were staring at the floor like the words were hard to find, and I wanted to say I love you, but I swallowed every line. You were waiting for a reason to believe that I would stay, but I think we both were frightened of the price we'd have to pay. If you had stayed a little longer, if you put your fears aside, maybe all the things we wanted would have finally come alive. If you stayed tonight, would you finally let me hold you? Would you tell me all the secrets that you always kept inside? If you stayed tonight, would you let your heart surrender? Would you stop pretending that you never needed mine? If you stayed tonight, maybe we could find forever in the space between the words we were always too afraid to say. If you stayed tonight, maybe love would have a chance, but you turned around and left me before we ever got the chance. I remember all the evenings when you called me just to talk. You would tell me about your problems while you walked around the block. You said I was the only person who could ever calm your mind, but whenever I got closer, you would almost mine and almost gone, like a song without an ending, like a night without the dawn. And I spend my days believing that someday you'd finally see that the person you were running from was the person you needed. If you had stayed a little longer, if you'd put your fears aside, maybe all the things we wanted would have finally come alive. If you stayed tonight, would you finally let me hold you? Would you tell me all the secrets that you always kept inside? If you stayed tonight, would you let your heart surrender? Would you stop pretending that you never needed mine? If you stayed tonight, maybe we could find forever in the space between the words we were always too afraid to say. If you stayed tonight, maybe love would have a chance. But you turned around and left me before we ever got the chance. Maybe I was too afraid to tell you what I knew. Maybe you were too afraid to let me get to you. Maybe we were both pretending that we didn't need a thing, when the truth was in the silence and the pain it used to bring. I would have given you my future if you'd only given me tonight. I would have held you through the darkness till the morning brought the light. But you chose to keep on running, and I chose to let you go. Now the only thing that's left is everything we'll never know. If you stayed tonight, would you finally let me hold you? Would you tell me all the secrets that you always kept inside? If you stayed tonight, would you let your heart surrender? Would you stop pretending that you never needed mine? If you stayed tonight, maybe we could find forever in the space between the words we were always too afraid to say. If you stayed tonight, maybe love would have a chance. But you turned around and left me before we ever got the chance. If you stayed tonight, I would have. I remember how you used to say my name like it was home. You would call me in the evening just to tell me you were alone. We would talk until the sunrise about dreams we'd never chase, and I'd listen to your heartbeat while you slowly fell asleep. You were always next to me, but somehow I knew you'd leave. There was something in your silence that you never let me see. Still I held on to the feeling, like a fool afraid to lose every little piece of heaven that I found inside of you. We were young enough to dream, but too afraid to make it real. And I wonder if you remember how it felt to feel when we were something, before we became strangers, before your touch became a memory and your voice became a distant sound. When we were something, before you stopped believing, before the love between us turned into a ghost we couldn't hold. When we were something, I thought we'd never end. I thought I'd always know you. I thought you'd always be my friend. But somewhere in the silence, we lost what we once knew. And now I only remember the person I was with you. I still pass the little corner where we used to meet at night, where you'd smile across the table underneath the yellow lights. You would tell me all your secrets, I would promise they were safe. Now I wonder if you miss me when those memories away. There were times I almost told you that I couldn't let you go, but I thought that if I said it, you would turn and disappear. So I kept my heart in silence while you slowly drifted away. And the words I never told you are the ones I hear today. We were young enough to dream, but too afraid to make it real. And I wonder if you remember how it felt to feel when we were something, before we became strangers, before your touch became a memory and your voice became a distant sound. When we were something, before you stopped believing, before the love between us turned into a ghost we couldn't hold. When we were something, I thought we'd never end. I thought I'd always know you. I thought you'd always be my friend. But somewhere in the silence, we lost what we once knew. And now I only remember the person I was with you. Maybe we were never lovers. Maybe we were never meant to become the kind of story that would make it to the end. Maybe we were just a moment that was beautiful enough to remind us both that sometimes almost love can still be love. If I saw you now, would you remember me? Would you see the person you once wanted me to be? Or would you walk right past me like we never shared a thing? Like the nights we spent together were just dreams we couldn't keep. When we were something, before we became strangers, before your touch became a memory and your voice became a distant sound. When we were something, before you stopped believing, before the love between us turned into a ghost we couldn't hold. When we were something, I thought we'd never end. I thought I'd always know you, I thought you'd always be my friend. But somewhere in the silence, we lost what we once knew. And now I only remember the person I was with you. When we were something, I still remember your face. I still yeah. You were lying on my shoulder while the city faded out, and I wondered if you knew what my silence was about. You were tracing little circles on the back of my hand, like you wanted me to hold you, but you couldn't understand how a moment could feel endless, how a touch could feel so deep, how the words we never spoke could be the ones we couldn't keep. You were breathing next to me, but your heart was somewhere else, and I knew that I was losing you before you left yourself. There was something in between us, something neither one could name. We were standing in the middle of a fire afraid of flame. It was the space between us where I thought we'd meet someday, where your heart could finally open and you never walk away. It was the space between us that kept pulling me inside. You were close enough to touch me, but too far away to stay. And I spent so many nights wondering what we could have been in the space between us, where our story now begins. I remember Sunday morning when the sunlight filled the room. You were standing by the curtains like you knew you'd leave me soon. You were talking about your future like my name was never there, but the sadness in your voice told me you were fighting scared. I could have asked you to stay, I could have told you how I felt, but sometimes love gets complicated when you're afraid of losing yourself. So I watched you take your jacket, I watched you reach for the door, and the space between us wide and light it never had before. There was something in between us, something neither one could name. We were standing in the middle of a fire afraid of flame. It was the space between us where I thought we'd meet someday, where your heart could finally open and you never walk away. spent so many nights wondering what we could have been. In the space between us, where our story now we would never be afraid. Maybe you would take my hand and I wouldn't let it fade. Maybe there would be no distance, no excuses, no goodbye. Maybe I would say I love you, and you'd finally say it right. But we were young, or maybe broken, or maybe love was just too much. And now the only thing between us is the memory of your touch. It was a space between us where I thought we'd meet someday, where your heart could finally open and you never walk away. It was a space between us that kept pulling me inside. You were close enough to touch me, but too far away to stay. And I spent so many nights wondering what we could have been. In the space between us, where our story never begins. Maybe we were almost lovers. Maybe we were almost home. Maybe we were almost something, but we were never truly known. Maybe you still think about me when the night gets quiet too. Maybe somewhere in the silence there's still a space for me and you. You were standing by the window with your shadow on the wall, saying nothing like the silence was the loudest thing of all. I could feel you getting closer, then you slowly stepped away, like you had 1,000 reasons not to tell me what you'd say. There was something in your breathing something trembling in your hands, like you wanted me to hold you, but you couldn't let me in. And I saw it in your eyes when you looked at me that night. You were trying not to love me, but you couldn't make it right. Maybe we were one confession from a different kind of life. Maybe if you'd stayed a moment, you'd never said goodbye. It's the way you almost loved me, like your heart was calling mine, like you wanted to surrender, but you left it all behind. It's the way you almost held me, then you let me disappear. Now I'm living with the feeling of the love that wasn't here. It's the way you almost loved me that I can't forget tonight. You were standing right beside me, but you never crossed the line. I remember how you whispered that you didn't know what to do. You said love could be a prison if you gave your heart too soon. I told you I wasn't asking for a promise or a name. I just wanted you to tell me if you felt the same. But you turned your face toward midnight and you stared into the rain, like the sky outside the window could wash away the pain. I reached out but stopped myself when I saw you closing down. Somewhere between us was a feeling we were both afraid to sound. Maybe we were one confession from a different kind of life. Maybe if you stayed a moment, you'd have never said goodbye. It's the way you almost loved me, like your heart was calling mine, like you wanted to surrender, but you left it all behind. It's the way you almost held me, then you let me disappear. Now I'm living with the feeling of the love that wasn't here. It's the way you almost loved me that I can't forget tonight. You were standing right beside me, but you never crossed the line. If you had stayed, would I have known you? If I had asked, would you have told me? Was I the one you were afraid of? Or was it love you couldn't hold? Now every night I hear the silence of all the words we never said, and every dream still leaves me wondering what would have happened if you stayed. It's the way you almost loved me, like your heart was calling mine, like you wanted to surrender, but you left it all behind. It's the way you almost held me, like you never wanted tears. Now I'm holding on to pieces of a love that disappeared. you walking down the street on a Sunday afternoon. You were wearing that old sweater that I bought for you too soon. You were laughing with somebody, and I almost called your name, but I stood there in the distance and I let you walk away. You looked happier than ever, like the world had treated you kind. And I wondered if you ever think about the life we left behind. I could still remember clearly every word you used to say. Funny how a heart remembers what the mind tries to erase. I don't know if you remember how we used to be, but I still carry every moment that you gave to me. I still know your smile, even after all this time. I still hear your laughter when the night gets quiet inside. I still know your eyes, I still know the way you hide when you're hurting underneath, the way you always did with me. I still know your smile, even though you're not mine. And maybe you don't think of me, but you're still somewhere in my mind. I don't need you to come back, I just need to understand how somebody I once knew so well can feel like a stranger now. I remember all the mornings when you'd wake up next to me. You would open up the curtains, let the sunlight set you free. You would dance around the kitchen with your coffee in your hand, and I'd watch you from the doorway, thinking I had found my home. Now somebody else is waiting for your footsteps at their door. Somebody else gets to hear you when you're laughing like before. And I tell myself I'm happy that you found a better life, but some nights I still remember how your hand once fit in mine. I don't know if you remember how we used to be, but I still carry every moment that you gave to me. I still know your smile, even after all this time. I still hear your laughter when the night gets quiet inside. I still know your eyes, I still know the way you hide when you're hurting underneath, the way you always did with me. I still know your smile, even though you're not mine. And maybe you don't think of me, but you're still somewhere in my mind. I don't need you to come back, I just need to understand how somebody I once knew so well can feel like a stranger now. to forget. Maybe I was just a lesson that you haven't learned from yet. Maybe somewhere in your memories I'm still standing by your side. Maybe when you hear our old song, you remember how we tried. And if you ever miss me, you don't have to let me know. Some things are better left in silence, some things are better left alone. I just hope that when you think of me, you don't remember all the pain. I hope you see the nights we laughed before we lost our way. I still know your smile, even after all